Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. I'm so glad that you're here joining me. I'm streaming live and it is July 23rd, 2025. I've been on this channel since 2020, helping you stand strong against tyranny and oppression. And today I want to help you keep your pets, your precious pets, your cats and dogs, horses, and others, to keep them free from government tyranny and oppression. We are talking about getting access to holistic vet care. A couple of days ago, I did a video reminding you about all of the resources that I have available for you about rabies exemptions, and that is on my Substack. That's over at peggyhall.substack.com. I'll do a little review of that in this video as well. And I wanted to also set the record straight because some people that stumble across my videos may be confused about what I'm talking about when it comes to keeping your animals healthy and not having them become, feline and canine pincushions, and also my view on microchipping and spay and neuter. Some of my healthy Americans are unfortunately not hearing my whole statement when I talk about these things. And so that's why I want to set the record straight. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have the best audience on YouTube. And if you recall what my stance is on those topics, please drop a comment in the comment section below and we can educate others as well. Before we get into the holistic vets on YouTube that many of you have sent me, and I'm so grateful for the resources, I do want to thank the sponsor. Then we'll get right into the video. So we're going over to my longtime sponsor, and that is noblegoldinvestments.com. And the message that I want to share with you is that the US dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 1970s, when the dollar came off the gold standard. And the government seems bent on continuing this tradition. So from now until the next elections, the government can print as much money as it wants. And you know what happens? Inflation goes up. And the last time that went up about 9%. So this means one thing. If you are concerned about the security of you and your family and their future, it's all in your hands. So make sure that you don't let the value of your money melt. You want to freeze it by investing in gold. And that's where I recommend noblegoldinvestments.com. As I say, there's always a risk of any kind of investment, whether you're in the stock market or real estate or gold. And so there's never any guarantee, but you want to get your questions answered by the experts. And their message is that gold is the one asset that has proven to withstand recession, inflation, and just about all economic threats, including tariffs. I'll just throw that in on my own. Noble Gold Investments is here to help you. And so I would love for you to give them a call. The number is here, 877-646-5347. And I want to share with you, this is going on. Now we're almost at the end of July. So this still is valid through July. And you will get 2 silver America the Beautiful coins, which are 5 ounces each, and 1 silver American Virtue coin an ounce when you open up your qualified account, or you talk to them and find out if you want to get actual precious metals, the physical precious metals as well. So that's over at noblegoldinvestments.com. Friends, I'm taking you over to my Substack because this is where, if you click on the resources page, you'll see that I just did a video about rabies exemptions, and I did several videos about that. You can click here and you'll see that I've got a list of, I've got information about the flu exemptions. I've got pet loss remedies and resources for you, immigration help. And here it's all about rabies, as I call it. And hey, I'm wearing the same blouse, and that's pretty good. I love this blouse. It's 100% cotton. But as I was saying, this is all about rabies, and there is information where you can click to do a do-it-yourself vaccine waiver. I highly recommend that you watch this video. I don't just want to duplicate what I've done right now. So please watch this. It's already there for you. And that's my precious Teddy. May she rest in peace. There she was, this little tiny puppy when I found her. I've got all of this information along with veterinarians that are not pushing the needle. Now, I will say that I'm not going to broadcast their names on social media, on YouTube, because I don't want the county health departments tracking them down. So the best thing is for you to go and get those resources. I've got deep dives on the dark and deadly history of rabies and why it's not what we were told. Yes, there are symptoms that animals experience, and yes, they can be deadly. These symptoms that we're told are rabies, and I'll explain why I call it that in a moment, they mimic other types of causes, such as starvation, such as poisoning, such as being bitten by some kind of parasite, and you have encephalitis, you got swelling of the brain. So just like we were told that cooties is a completely brand new disease, and come to find out it's the exact same symptoms as the flu, which are the exact same symptoms as bird flu and the exact same symptoms as everything else, except they keep wanting to add to the list to make you feel as though it's something brand new. So no, that's not the case. And if you are curious, and I've heard from so many of you emailing me saying, Peggy, thank you. I saw your video. I did a deep dive. I watched your videos. I learned all about the dark and deadly secrets. And I want to thank all of you who emailed me with additional resources. And that's what I'm going to share with you in just a moment. Before I share those resources, let me set the record straight about my opinion on all of this. I personally want to live a healthy life fully and freely, meaning I do not want the government to impose medical interventions on me or my animals that I object to. Now, I had a healthy American ask me, Peggy, can I do a religious exemption for my kitty? He had just adopted a little kitty from the animal shelter, and he had to sign a paper saying that he would bring that little kitten back in 4 months for the rabies shot and also for spay and neuter. Now, that's far too early, in my opinion, and in many veterinarians' opinions. You also want to look up Dr. Karen Becker, and she has information about delaying the spay and neuter until your animal has matured and has had the benefits of the hormones in terms of bone health, of immunity, of blood, of temperament, of all of those things that we need. God did not make a mistake. So, to set the record straight, I am in favor of keeping your animals healthy and safe. Therefore, the spay and neuter is not a one size fits all. Repeat after me. It's not a one size fits all. This is what I have said forever. And for some reason, people twist that around to say that I'm against spay and neuter. I'm against spay and neuter in every single case, but I'm not against it for people that have allowed their animals to mature, that they may have other animals in the home and they have had experience in the past. I can't vouch for this, but others have said that when they neutered their male cat, that he was more easygoing and didn't, cry at the window and try to get out and all of that. Fine. That's up to you. I'm in favor of your personal choice. I am 100% against the government inflicting these medical procedures on you or your animals. It should be your choice. You should make it in conjunction and collaboration with your veterinarian. And for heaven's sakes, take into consideration the age of your animal, the medical condition of your animal. I have been in animal rescue, as many of my healthy Americans have, for many, many years, ever since I was about 16 years old. So that's a lot of decades. And I have seen all sides of what goes on. And sadly, these animal rescue groups, not all of them, but some of them, in certainly the counties, when they have an intake of an animal, before they adopt it out, they will have that animal neutered. And they don't even take into consideration the age, the medical condition. I have a dear friend, in fact, more than one, who sadly had the bad news from the veterinarian that their animal died on the operating table because, as it turns out, they weren't fit to have that operation. And to add insult to injury, to make it even more tragic, that would have been the only animal in that person's home. They don't take them to the dog park. They're not boarding them. They're not in any situation where that animal would be at risk of getting pregnant or impregnating another animal. So hear me clearly. I tell you, friends, I've got a perfectionist streak. So it really rubs me the wrong way when I endeavor to teach with, affability and compassion and patience and all of that. and people don't hear me. It's absolutely stunning. So hear me clearly. If you want to spay and neuter your animal, that's your decision. I am against it when the counties have passed these laws that require you to spay and neuter your animal, or you'll be subject to fines, and throw in the same category the shots. That should be up to you, especially when you do a deep dive like I have, and you realize that even if we accept this category of rabies, there has been no case in 100 years in most countries. It would be like requiring your children to have a smallpox vaccine, which they probably will do next, even though we're told that that disease has been eradicated. So yeah, I'm not in favor of the county and the government and your veterinarians requiring this, which is why I'm speaking out about it again and again and again. You want to do that with your animal, educate yourself, learn about it, but don't do it just because you feel that you have to capitulate. I've got all sorts of resources for you. You can do a waiver. Luckily, where I am, you just check a box and say, my animal has a waiver. You could find a holistic vet, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment, these holistic vets on YouTube. And when it comes to microchipping, there are counties, especially in California, I don't know if it's county by county, maybe it's a state law, where if you adopt an animal from an animal rescue or a county shelter, that they automatically microchip your animal. You may be in favor of that. Well, God bless you. It should be your choice and your decision. Now, as it happens, the animals that I recently adopted a year ago came from rescue groups, not from county groups, but these animals already were spayed and microchipped, and they had their first shot. I'm not going to hold it against the animal. I'm not going to allow an animal to wither and not be adopted. But I also brought you opportunities to adopt animals that were, how did one of my Healthy Americans call it, a clean? She wanted to adopt a clean kitty. And one of my Healthy Americans reached out to me and said, I've got a mama feral cat who had kittens. And if you know of anyone who wants these clean kitties, then I would be happy to arrange that. And that's in the Sacramento area. And I've had several people reach out to me, and I want to thank all of you for doing that. I also had someone reach out to me about the puppy that is now a young dog in Mexico. And we have to figure out how to get the dog out of Mexico without being subject to all of these other inflictions. I'll just put it that way. So I think we're all clear. And it doesn't even matter what my stance is. What matters is what your stance is. But I don't like people twisting my words. And I don't think people did that on purpose. They just didn't listen carefully. I'm against spay and neuter in every single case without thinking it through. It's not a one size fits all. There are other ways of keeping your animals healthy and safe and reducing unwanted litters. There are some people that want to have litters of animals, and I'm not going to hold that against them either, especially if they have clean animals that they then want to go into homes that are going to take care of those animals appropriately. So I am against, runaway stray animals, or people, not against the stray animals. I'm against people that just neglect their animals and throw them out on the street. That's where it needs to go, not the poor animals having to suffer. It's the people themselves that are uneducated and ignorant, and that's a whole nother topic. So I'm glad I could clear the air. And the reason why I'm not a fan of the microchipping, although you could say that it would keep your animals safe. I know plenty of people whose cat ran away and they were microchipped and they never got the cat back, and dogs were stolen and they never got the animal back. So it's also not a one size fits all. Some people will put a little like GPS on the collar. You know what? It's not injected. And yeah, the collar could fall off or whatever. But if you have a dog that roams or a cat that roams, you may want to say, oh, my cat's over at the neighbor's house or in their garage or something. That probably is a great idea in some cases. The reason why I am so critically minded about the neuter and the microchipping and the shots is because it's a hop, skip, and a jump to go from how you treat your animals to how you treat your children. Now, many of us, our animals are like our children, and they're a part of our family, and we treat them as loved ones. It's a very unique bond. All animal lovers understand. I don't need to explain it. So the concept of just neutering your animal, microchipping them, and vaccinating them without thinking it through and doing it in every situation and capitulating to the powers that shouldn't be in the government, then it kind of primes the pump for parents doing it to their children, which is why I didn't speak out. I never really promoted that movie that many said, I'm not even going to talk about it, other than many said it really planted the seed for parents to get their children microchipped so that they wouldn't be stolen and all of that. You may be in favor of that. I personally am not. All right, cleared the air on that. Let's get to the holistic vets that are on YouTube. And actually, let me just share this one that came in from a Healthy American, not on YouTube, but just on the internet. So this one is public knowledge. And again, I want to thank everybody for emailing me support@thehealthyamerican.org. Yes, I've got my little paw print necklace right here. And I thought it would be appropriate for today. So this is called, it's the Animal Wellness Center, and it's altpetdoc.com. I'll have this for you in my Substack tomorrow, which is peggyhall.substack.com. So this is where you could possibly, oh, and here is Dr. Karen Becker. I didn't even know she was being a guest. And this is someone that also can direct you in a more holistic way with your animals. Do I know everything about this veterinarian? No. Do I know everything about Dr. Karen Becker? No, I don't. This is a place for you to get started with your research. And ideally, they will give you some methods and approaches to keep your animals healthy in a holistic, natural way. Now, a couple of you sent me information. I would love to interview Dr. Judy Morgan. Here she is on YouTube. So Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets. And she's got, she's a veterinarian, acupuncturist, it says, chiropractor, food therapist, and so forth. I would love to have her come on. And she calls herself your pet's advocate. So I don't know if she's still practicing medicine, but this is where you could get some videos. And here you are, new guidelines for spay and neuter in dogs and cats. I'll have to watch that one myself. And then this one, everyone's been telling me about, and I have watched his videos before. And this is Dr. Jones. He's from Canada, and his website is called Veterinary Secrets. And so many of you were telling me about him, and I've watched lots of videos. He also has ideas for, we didn't even get to talk about flea treatments because a lot of people don't want to do the injections for the fleas or the topical medicine for the fleas. And I'm lucky we do not have a flea issue, never have had a flea issue with animals. Only once when I had Teddy. And she went to the vet and she came back with fleas from the vet. Gee, wouldn't that be weird if, I don't want to really connect the clots on that. I don't think that vet was giving fleas to animals on purpose to then sell the $400 flea treatment. I would never believe that. And I'm serious with that. Hopefully that's not the case. I wanted to finish off with an email from a Healthy American who sent me information about, the Dr. Rose that I just shared with you. So this is a Healthy American. I'm going to keep her name confidential because I didn't tell her I was going to share the email, but I thought it was such a great email that I wanted to let you know that, I never say like we're all in it together, but you're not alone in what you're going through. And I thanked her for this. And she said, "You are so welcome, Peggy. And I want to thank you for your clarity and commitment to truth. I'm grateful that within the first few months of the shutdowns, I was sitting outside where several of us rebels were meeting at a friend's in the woods near Philly. Our phones were turned off and we left them in the car, hoping that the tracking and the surveillance wouldn't find us or hear us." She said, haha, but it's not that funny when you think about it. She said, "We all were sharing our challenges with fears, and we were sharing helpful and hopeful resources. Your name was brought up, and I have read and listened to you ever since." She said, "But I'm still very stressed because of everything that's going on, and many whole communities sit in opposition to the truth. I want to call on the strength of you and others who have a loving and aligned, voice to help me get more bold and vocal." So she goes on to say that she knows now. She said, "I thank God that I was with the Freedom Friends that day. They whispered that they were not pincushions, And it felt new and exciting to me, as well as kind of ancient, like we were connecting, to the old ways. Thank you. Thank you. And here is to our pets. She said, I know all about the cooties. I know all about what they're doing in the skies. I know all about the food poisoning that's been going on. She said, but this cooties hogwash just really brought it all into focus for me. She said, I know that you would agree that some of us have always been awake. She said for herself, she was kind of laying low. But she's reminded that she is here for a reason, and now is her time, and she wants boldness. And then she is also looking for her next animal friend. So I just wanted to share that video, and I'm so that it's not a video. I wanted to share it on this video, and I'm so grateful for all of you that take the time to email. I'm not always able to answer you individually. I just don't have the resources to do so. I hear from so many people on an ongoing basis. That's why I respond to you in this format, so I can reach thousands of people through my videos. It's the highlight of my day, and I'm so grateful for all of you who are listening in, who have listened to the end of this video. And if you could double check that you are subscribed, or if you haven't, please do so. One of my Healthy Americans said, Peggy, I think you set a record. You have not had one new subscriber in 5 years. I'm like, you're absolutely right. My subscriber count is frozen because that's what YouTube does. And it's not so much that I care about the numbers, but I care about reaching people. I want people to hear about the truth about rabies. So why do I call it rabies? Well, in one of my previous videos, I told you about someone that needed to have a certificate just in order to get their dog's toenails trimmed or grooming. And the groomer would not take the animal unless she had this certificate. So they were creating the certificate based on a previous one, and they typed it all up and it looked all authentic and everything. And they were on their way to the groomer, and they looked at the document and they had misspelled the word rabies with a B. And it's right next to the B and the V are right next to each other on the keyboard. And they had typed rabies, and they had to turn around and realize that wasn't going to work. And what happened is they found someone that would just come to their home. That's one of the best ways to do it. Find a vet that will come to your home, and then they don't have to be worried about getting bitten or having any of their staff bitten or any other animal bitten by an animal that doesn't have a disease that was, even if it ever existed, was eradicated 100 years ago. And besides, they're all vaccinated for it anyway. But you know that you can't talk sense into people who are all in favor of that miracle of medicine. So I understand the frustrations. And I wanted to also answer, because I went off a little bit onto another tangent, but I told you about a Healthy American that reached out to me because he didn't want his little kitten to have to be vaccinated. And he said, can I do a religious exemption? And I said, I would love to see you try that, because mainly the rabies exemptions are due to the condition of the animal, that they're too old, that they already have allergies, that they had a previous reaction to it. And most veterinarians, at least the ones that are on my list at my Substack, if you talk to them and you let them know that, where you stand, in many cases, the veterinarian will just advise you as to the law, let you know what would happen if your animal was alleged to have bit someone. Then there would be a quarantine or a waiting period and blah, 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 blah. So the veterinarian is bound by law, as I understand it, to communicate that to you. And once they have, they're off the hook, and they can sign that waiver for you. I know people that have signed their own waivers. As I say, where I am, I just checked a box and said, my animal has a waiver, and I've never had an issue with that, because going forward, I think you know what I'm going to be doing with my animals. So in the case of this Healthy American who has a little kitten, I think it would be so interesting to go to the county and say, this is my property, and I have a religious objection to, and it's the same way that we have with our own self. God has told me not to taint this animal with these products. And that's basically what we say in our religious exemption. Many people believe that. And that's what I believe. Like, I worship God by keeping my body pure. That's part of my religious observance. So if you can extrapolate that and say, I keep my animals this way, I don't know if it would work, but I would be worth I think it would be worth giving it a try. Now, unfortunately, this person is in the state of Illinois, which is neck and neck with New York and California with being the most communistic and the most totalitarian and the most oppressive. So chances are it wouldn't go a long way. But what some people, this actually happens. Yes, it's not something that they're just saying. It actually happens that they gave the little kitten away and it's no longer in that county. So sometimes that happens, or the little kitten ran away. Isn't that sad? So yes, that's how some people get around some of those situations. So I'm not advocating anyone lie or cheat or do any of that. I'm telling you what some people have done. I stand on my truth. My animal has a waiver and I checked the box myself. And I hope that this video has been helpful for you. We are live. So let me spend the last couple of minutes here taking a look at your comments and thanking you for being on board here. So, a lot of people are so interested in this. Mama Bear also has an does not have an exemption. Now you know where to go, peggyhall.substack.com. And friends, if you're interested in the exemption, this would be a case where I would say, please don't email me. Just go to the Substack. It's all there for you. peggyhall.substack.com. Aneke said, I just don't take my dogs anywhere anymore. I'm not paying. I'm watching out for the next nonsense, you and me both. And she says, my dogs stay on the property and they love it. Enter at your own peril. I forgot to mention, two other things that I don't care for, three other things that I don't care for when it comes to animals. This is my choice. Your choice may be different. Repeat after me. This is my choice. Your choice may be different. I don't take my animals to dog parks or cat parks, if there is such a thing. I just don't do that. It's a recipe for disaster as far as I'm concerned. You don't know what these other dogs are going to do. Why in the non-spinning world would you put your animal at risk? Well, Peggy, they love find one or two animals that you know, that you trust, have a little play date, have them come over. They can play around in the house if you don't have a yard. That's a solution. I'm not going to take my animals to stray dogs. And if somebody's approaching me on the street with an animal that I don't know, I'm not going to allow them to approach my animal either. You are the pack of your animal, that you are their family. They don't need the other animals, friends. That's my opinion. All right. So that's one thing I don't care for. The other thing I don't care for, you may be different. You may have a little 5-pound dog. I don't care for retractable leashes. Listen and do your research about broken necks, about damaged trachea, about all of those things. Well, my dog likes to sniff. They can sniff on a 6-foot leash. So please educate yourself about the harms and the dangers, I'll have to do a video, the deadly dangers of retractable leashes. That will be coming up for you soon, because I can't bear to see these precious animals get hurt because of an owner that thinks they're doing right by their animal, letting them sniff, and they let the animal go out in front. You don't even know, another dog could come and get your dog should be with you, friends. Yes, I'm on my soapbox. And the third thing is, especially with cats, I don't feed them dry food. Now, in the earlier years, when I didn't really know that much about cats, they had their dry kibble because they loved it. It was like crack cocaine to them. And come to find out, every single one of them had the urinary tract issues, and some of them actually had the kidney stones because it's dehydrated food. There's not enough moisture. It's very damaging to your animal. You can add water to it if that's what you want to feed them, but make sure that it's not just dry, or alternate it with wet food. And I actually add a little water to the wet food, so I'm sure that my animals are getting all of the liquids and fluids that they need. That's my soapbox. I appreciate all of you for letting me rant a little bit and for being on board. And Darren says there is no rabies. You know, Darren, I'm going to end on your comment there. That's the strongest one. Friends, it's easy enough to do the research. There are plenty of people, in addition to myself, who have done deep dives on this. The information is available. And even if you just look on Wikipedia, you'll find out like how ancient that condition is and how it just is not what we were told. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to rest my voice now. I think tomorrow I will have another video for you along this line of what's going on in the veterinarian world. And this is where the veterinarian offices are being purchased by the large conglomerates. And these vets don't own their own practice. They're employees of this conglomerate, and they're told what to do and how to act. And they push the shots and they push these unnecessary things. Hopefully they have a conscience, but what I'm hearing from some people, I'll share that with you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being on board, everybody. So grateful. I've got the best audience on YouTube. I think I covered everything I was planning on covering today. If not, I'll be sure to circle back and catch up on an upcoming video. Otherwise, let's connect over at my Substack, absolutely free, peggyhall.substack.com. A big thank you to all of you that have supported my work with a donation, just a donation over at thehealthyamerican.org. There's a little button for donate, or you've done it through the Substack. I don't want you to send me a penny if you don't have a penny to spare. Please, your prayers, your encouragement, your sharing of the information is far more valuable in the long run for well, I appreciate your donations, but trust me, it's your prayers, your encouragement, and you're sharing the information that really keeps me going and helps me persevere. For those that are a donor, we've got our upcoming class. It's going to be the the first Saturday of the month. That will be in August. I believe it's August 2nd. And that's where we can chat in an uncensored manner. And I don't think I have a guest this month, so we can really dive in and answer all of your burning questions. All right, friends, there's my Tennessee goodbye. I'll have to call it the Floridia goodbye, I guess. Yes, Floridia, a Floridian in Floridia.